Television. The invention that led us to getting such incredible shows as Naked Attraction, My Strange Addiction, and My Teen is Pregnant and So Am I. God. But on January 18th, the world of TV was graced with what I would legitimately call the dumbest show ever created, Power Slap. Road to the Title? To quote the Wikipedia article about it, the show consists of contestants slapping each other in the face in order to win the Power Slap League tournament. And you may be thinking, okay, but where's the premise? Where's the excitement? Where's the anything of any substance? But that's it. There is a reality show, get to know the contestants, they all live together element of it, but the show's crutch is two people stand across from each other and take turns slapping each other in the face until one of them can't go on. Brilliant, right? Now, this type of competition, if you want to call it that, has been around for a very long time, and on lots of different scales. I've seen people doing a similar thing in high school with slapping each other's hands until someone can't go on, which, by the way, I watched thinking, this should be a show on TBS. But my point is, this stuff has been out there, and I've never cared enough to talk about it. But this is different, because of how it's being promoted and who is involved in it. And now I've been forced to care about it. So why I've even heard about the show is the UFC's involvement. For those who don't know, the UFC, or the Ultimate Fighting Championship, is the world's leading mixed martial arts, or MMA, organization, where competitors fight with boxing, jiu-jitsu, sambo, wrestling, mixing the martial arts. It's not for everyone, but I am a massive fan of it, so I follow their social media feeds. So imagine my surprise when I'm logging on to see some interesting announcement or trailer or highlight from the UFC world, and I am spammed by this account with Power Slap promos. They have been bombarding people's feeds with this stuff, and it's just such a horrible idea in so many ways. The thing is, this isn't part of the UFC. This is on TBS. It's not on the UFC's streaming service. It has no effect on the UFC, but it is promoted by Dana, my own mother says I'm a bad person, look it up, White, who is the president of the UFC. And because of this, they've tried to cross this Power Slap stuff into the UFC fanbase, basically assuming that, hey, you brain dead morons like watching this stuff, you won't even know the difference. Look, people hit each other and fall down. It's basically the same. Watch it. And it's so insulting and makes it feel like they have no respect for or understanding of why people actually watch the UFC. Also, it annoys me when people, like Dana, say, if you don't like it, just don't watch it.
If you don't fucking like it, don't watch it.
I would love to not watch it, but you keep promoting it on the feed that I'm actually trying to watch. It's not my fault. This is actively your fault. This is why I'm talking about this. MMA, like boxing, is a sport. Power slapping is not a sport. I guess you can call it a competition by dictionary definition, but it cannot be called a sport. And it baffles me that a company that has tried desperately for decades to get rid of the stigma of savagery and human cockfighting around the UFC, that they would get involved in a project like this that takes them back so far on that. Is part of the appeal of watching MMA the violence, the knockouts, the brutality, the blood? Yes, I won't act like it isn't, and that's part of why I get why a lot of people don't like it. I'm not saying it's great, that I think this is pretty cool. I just do. But there is so much more to it, which I've had to explain to people over the years when they ask, oh my god, why do you watch this stuff? There's so much skill and technique involved in the fighting, like any other sport. And because it's blending every combat sport, it can be so technical. Fighters having to negate each other's strengths, mixing their combat skills together. It takes so much work and so much skill, and it can be fascinating to watch. There's also fun and excitement in the chaos and the brawls as well, in the action-packed fights and the heart and grit and determination shown. Come on, if you like the Rocky movies, you get the general premise of why that's fun to watch. The stories of the fighters are often very interesting and extremely inspiring. The storylines leading up to fights can legitimately be more compelling than most movies. Look at Adesanya Pereira. They fought years ago in a different sport. They both transitioned to MMA and work their way up the ranks, and years later meet once again on the grandest stage and go to war. That sounds like an awesome movie, except it happened in real life. My point is, there is more to it than just the violence, and that is not the case with Power Slap. Power Slap is the degenerate garbage that some people think MMA is. It's the pointless brain damage that people think MMA or boxing is. Promoting this so heavily on the UFC page makes people think this is what UFC is. It confuses the mainstream and takes so many steps back on making UFC a mainstream acceptable sport that I just can't fathom why they do this. The thing any ref tells the fighters in MMA or boxing is protect yourself at all times. This show's concept is you may not protect yourself at any time. You just have to get hit in the face, get irreversible brain damage, and maybe you win this belt that looks like it's from a Power Rangers episode. Also, side note, having a belt and a championship for this, again, feels like you're watering down and disrespecting the actual belts that actually take insane amounts of hard work for real fighters to win. And by the way, let's talk about brain damage a little more. CTE is one of the harder things to talk about with sports like MMA and boxing, and football even, if you want to look outside combat sports, because it is a very very sad, uncomfortable part of it that sometimes even makes me feel weird about watching it. Cheering on knockouts, knowing the effect that repeated punches to the face can have on people's brains in later life. But again, in boxing and MMA, the ref tells you to protect yourself at all times. In MMA, technically, you don't have to get hit. Like, yes, 99.9% of fighters are going to get hit. At the highest level, most people end up getting knocked out at least once. But it is entirely possible to have an MMA fight without taking a punch, without taking any brain damage. I know it's insanely unlikely, but my point here is there is no chance of that in Power Slap. It is just taking brain damage. It is just being slapped. There is no defense. There's no skill. There's no proving you're the better man or woman. It's just hitting someone and then getting hit back and taking years off of a potentially healthy future lifestyle. As someone who watches UFC every day and goes crazy for big knockouts and violent bloodbaths, I'm watching this going, this is disgusting. And that leads nicely into my final point, taking away everything I've said so far. The pointless violence, the stupidity of it. Even if you're fine with all of that, you know what the show's biggest problem is as a form of entertainment? It's not entertaining after a very short amount of time. Granted, I have not actually seen the pilot. I have to put that disclaimer out there. Maybe the drama brewing up in the reality TV side of things is really gripping. I have my doubts though.
You're disrespectful little bro. Go for it.
Like that, cuz you're gonna bang.
Oh, about to get wild.
But the thing the whole show hinges on, the slapping, is gonna get so boring so fast. Slap fighting is made for the TikTok, YouTube short type of content. It lasts a few seconds and maybe you go, whoa, I can't believe that happened, and then you keep swiping. Even if you love this stuff, after you've seen a few slaps, you just kind of go, okay, yeah, they slap each other. Great. Again, MMA, with multiple disciplines in one sport. It's basically impossible for two fights to look the same. There can be so much nuance and excitement, and you never really know what's gonna happen. In slap fighting, let me guess, he's gonna slap him. Oh, he did. After 10 of these slaps, it's like, who gives a shit? It's not that interesting. It's basically designed to be just some highlight on YouTube that you watch when you're bored or drunk or stoned or something. There's apparently a pay-per-view event at the end of this. Like, who on earth are you thinking is gonna buy that? Most people don't buy pay-per-views that are actually worth anything. As a huge UFC fan, I'll admit, probably about 80% of the UFC fan base absolutely sucks. There's a decent chunk of it that enjoys what I've talked about, the techniques and the fighters and the excitement and the storylines. And then there's just like the worst kinds of people who you wouldn't want to talk to at a party. But I kinda gotta commend Dana White for putting together a show so stupid that everyone, from non-UFC fans to the cool UFC fans to the worst UFC fans, agrees is stupid. Look at the comments on every post about this. Genuinely, nobody likes this. And for a fan base that's terrible and toxic and always arguing and divided and extremely nasty about everything, it's quite an achievement. For Dana, I was caught on camera slapping my wife right before having to promote a slap fighting show. White. Insane irony here, by the way. You couldn't write this. So anyway, I know I don't usually talk about this type of stuff, but I just seen one too many Power Slap promos and had to get this off my chest. Plus, I feel like I haven't ranted in a while. That felt nice. But what do you think of all this nonsense? Let me know all of your thoughts down below in the comments. While you're at it, be sure to like this video, subscribe for more videos like the one you just watched, check out this podcast that I do with a friend of mine where we talk about movies, TV shows, a bunch of nonsense. It's called The Poorly Planned Podcast. Check out my Instagram and Twitter at BHL_Hudson, my TikTok at BHL Hudson, and my Letterboxd at RealBHL Hudson. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time.